Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Today we will discuss the smooth muscles. So, the learning objective of the lectures are location of the smooth muscle, types of smooth muscles, Phasic contraction, tonic contraction, and difference between single and multi-unit smooth muscles. So this is our today topic. Types of muscle tissue. We know that there are three types of main muscles in the body: the skeletal muscle, the cardiac muscle, and the smooth muscle. They all have different structure and different function, and we have already discussed the skeletal muscle in the lecture of physiological anatomy of the skeletal muscle. So you can, if you want more detail of the skeletal muscle, so you can watch that video. But our today lecture is regarding smooth muscle. Smooth muscle is an involuntary non-striated muscle. What we mean by striation? We have already discussed this in the skeletal muscle, that the skeletal muscle are striated, and this striation is due to the presence of sarcomere. So the smooth muscle is non-striated because it has no sarcomere and therefore no striation. Here you can see that in skeletal muscle there is a sarcomere. A sarcomere is a distance or structures between the two Z lines. So we know that between the two Z lines we have actin and myosin, but in smooth muscle we have no such Z disc or Z line, so we don't have this type of striation. Stria means strips. So under microscope the skeletal muscle look like this, that have a stria, and these stria are between the two Z lines, and they look dark, and this give a striated look to the skeletal muscle. On the other hand, the smooth muscle are non-striated because due to the absence of these Z lines. Another important point regarding the smooth muscle is they are involuntary. So their movement is not in our control. Like a skeletal muscles, we can move voluntarily, or the movements of these muscles are under our control, but the movements of skeletal smooth muscles are not under our control, like in case of digestive system, respiratory system, and urinary system. When once these muscles are activated, then we can't stop their movement. Like in case of digestion, when once we ingest the food, the digestion started and it continued until when the full process is ended. So in respiratory system we can stop the respiration for some time, but we can't stop the respiratory system totally, so it is not under our control. So there are two things in the skeletal muscle. One is that they are non-striated, and the second thing is that they are involuntary in nature. Now, location of smooth muscle. Smooth muscle is found in the wall of hollow organs, including stomach, intestine, bladder, and urinary tract. Uterus, in the wall of blood vessel and lymph node, in the tract of the respiratory, urinary, and reproductive system. In the eye, the ciliary muscle, which is a type of smooth muscle which dilate and contract the iris and alter the shape of the lens. In the skin, smooth muscle cells such as those of the arrector pili cause hair to stand erect in response to cold, temperature, or fear. So these are the different locations of smooth muscle. We have smooth muscle in the stomach, we have in the urinary tract, ureters and small intestine, in the urinary bladder, also in the respiratory tract, the trachea, bronchi and bronchioles, in the female reproductive organs, the uterus, fallopian tubes, and we also have the smooth muscle in the iris of the eye, which contract and dilate the pupil. This is the pupil, and the colored area of the eye is called iris. So these muscles, when stimulated, either they contract or dilate or change the shape of the lens. It is also found in the blood vessels, and its contraction and relaxation fluctuate the blood pressure. Smooth muscles are also found in the skin, and it is found in the sweat gland. It is attached to the sweat gland, and when this muscle contract, it causes erection of the hair. So this mechanism is called erection of the hair by the arrector pili muscle. Is called goose bump. Here you can see that this is the sweat gland, and here is the arrector pili muscle. When it contracts, it causes erection of the hair. Here you can see that the hair are erected in this fashion, and it is due to the cold, anger and fear. You may have seen a scary or angry cat. So this is the goose bump, and this is a scary cat. You can see that the hair are in erected position. So for this condition, the smooth muscle, which is arrector pili, present in the skin and cause erection of the hair. Here you can see these small dots. This is due to the contraction of the smooth muscle, the arrector pili. Now we will discuss type of smooth muscle. So we have two types of smooth muscle. One is single unit smooth muscle, and the other is multi unit smooth muscles. So, here you can see type of the smooth muscle. They are grouped into two types: a single unit smooth muscle, also known as visceral smooth muscles, and multi-smooth muscles. Single unit smooth muscle. In single unit smooth muscle, cell contract in a coordinated fashion. They contract coordinatedly. They have, when one muscle cell is contracted, the whole belly or the whole sheet of the smooth muscle go into contraction. It is due to the presence of gap junction between the muscle cells. You can see this is the muscle cell and we have gap junction between these cells. This is the gap junction. We have channels on the cell membrane which responds to neurotransmitters, and they open and close due to the action of neurotransmitters. But in case of gap junction, these channels are open all the time and the ions can flow in both directions. So when one muscle fiber is stimulated, it causes stimulation of the whole belly, and this is called sensation or contraction of the whole muscle at the same time. And this is due to the presence of these gap junction, which actually cause the spread of current all over the muscle belly. These form an electrical continuous sensation, fever, varicosity per cell. In single unit smooth muscle, we have pure varicosities. These are the varicosity. These are actually neuron ending, and they are autonomic neuron ending. When they pass the muscle cell, the smooth muscle cell, at where they innervate the smooth muscle cell or fiber, they at that area they become swell up, and this swelling is called varicosities. And in these varicosities we have neurotransmitter, and when they are stimulated, they actually release their neurotransmitter on the surface of the smooth muscle cells. Contraction are typically phasic. Relatively rapid contraction. The single unit smooth muscle contract relatively rapidly than the multi-unit smooth muscles. Here you can see that this is the smooth muscle cell, and when contract, this is in the relaxed state and this is in the contract state. So the whole muscle cells go into contraction, and this is called sensation. When the whole belly contracts, it is called the sensation. Now phasic contraction. During a phasic contraction, myoplasmic calcium cross bridges phosphorylation and pores reach a peak and then return to baseline. There are three things. One is calcium, the other is cross bridge phosphorylation, and the pores of contraction. So all these in the initial stage of stimulation, all these reach its peak. During a phasic contraction, myoplasmic calcium cross bridges phosphorylation and pores reach a peak and then return to the baseline. Here you can see that when the action potential arises, you can see that the contraction, the muscle contraction reach to its peak due to the presence of calcium and velocity and cross bridges phosphorylation. It is rapidly contracted, so the velocity is more and there is more phosphorylation of the cross bridges of the myosin head, and the force of contraction also reach to the peak, and then they come back to the baseline. This type of contraction in which it reached to the peak, all these three events, the calcium attachment, the phosphorylation and force of contraction, when they reach to the peak and then come to the baseline, this is called phasic contraction. Now multi-unit smooth muscle. In multi-unit smooth muscles, each cell behave or contract independently. If we have suppose we have this group and this group of the multi-unit smooth muscle, so this group will contract independently and this will contract independently. Relative few gap junction between cells. So in the cell there are very few gap junctions. More varicosities per cell. Here this is the actually like the neuromuscular junction. So here the junction in smooth muscle is by the varicosities, and as in smooth muscle, when every fiber get the axon terminal, the same is here that the smooth muscle cells, most of the smooth muscle cell get are innervated by these varicosity by the autonomic nerve cells. Contraction are typically tonic. In single unit smooth muscle, the contraction is phasic. Here the contraction is tonic. Relatively slow. The smooth muscle contract rapidly and these muscle contract slowly. Relatively constant contraction. They contract constantly. So tonic contraction. During a tonic contraction, myoplasmic calcium and cross bridges phosphorylation decline after an initial spike of but do not return to baseline level. Here you can see that there is a contraction and there is calcium velocity and cross bridges phosphorylation. The velocity, you can see the velocity, the peak of the spike, and there is development of full contraction. But after some time, these bridges phosphorylation decline after an initial spike but do not return to the baseline. During this later phase, force slowly increase and is sustained at a high level. The contraction occurs with velocity which is slower than the single units, and there is full contraction, but this contraction then does not come suddenly to the baseline. The muscle remain contracted for longer duration as compared to the single unit muscle. The sustained force is maintained with only 20 to 30% of the cross bridges phosphorylation and less utilization of the ATP. So for this contraction for longer duration, only less phosphorylation and ATP is required. But the main thing is that in single unit smooth muscle, the force of contraction return to the baseline, but in the multi-unit or tonic contraction, the force of contraction doesn't come to the baseline and it remains for prolonged duration. The reproductive, digestive, respiratory and urinary tract, skin, eye and vascular all contain the tonic muscle type. This type of smooth muscle can maintain force of prolonged time with only little energy utilization. Like in digestive system, we need a prolonged contraction of the muscle, in respiratory tract and also in the eye when we focus at one point, so we need the contraction of muscle or relaxation of muscle for longer duration. So it is carried out by tonic contraction, and the mechanism of tonic contraction is that there is initially all the things reach to its peak but doesn't come rapidly to the baseline. So this type of contraction is called tonic contraction. So difference between single and multi-unit smooth muscles. Single unit visceral smooth muscle, they are called also visceral smooth muscle, and multi-unit smooth muscle. Frequency more common. They are present in many organs and they are less common. Fiber coupling. Fiber joined by gap junction, therefore are electrically coupled. If one fiber is stimulated to contract, they will all contract as single unit sensation. In this single unit smooth muscle, we have many gap junctions, so they contract as a sensation, and they have less or very few gap junctions. Therefore, fibers are not electrically coupled. Coupled means they don't contract together. Contraction does spread between cell and is confined to the cell originally stimulated. Here, contraction occurs in those cells which are stimulated. The rest of the fiber remain quiet. Stimulation of muscle fiber. They are stimulated by autonomic nervous system, the single unit and hormone. Again, the multi-unit smooth muscle are also innervated by autonomic nervous system and controlled by hormone. Stress relaxation response is present in the single unit smooth muscles. Location. Wall of all visceral organ except the heart. They are present in all hollow organ, the visceral organ, except the heart. Heart has a different type of muscle which we will discuss separately. In large, the multi are present in large blood vessel, eye and respiratory airway. Contraction produced slowly, steady contraction to allow substances to move through the body. For example, food in the gastrointestinal tract. Thank you. Please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. See you in the next lecture.